Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and in this video I'm going to be comparing two fantastic looking, comfortable and easy listening headsets, the Logitech G Pro X wireless and the Asus ROG Delta S wireless. Now these are two interesting headsets that I think are worth comparing for a number of different reasons. They're both very comfortable to wear, easy on the ears, easy on the eyes, and have a number of features and specs that make them comparable and interesting and worth discussing and talking about. I also enjoyed both of them and I reviewed both of them separately, so I'll link to those videos in the description so you can check this out. But in this video I'm going to be comparing the two specs, features, what I like and don't like about them, and also giving you a microphone test, so stick with me to the end of the video to hear that. And one of the reasons I wanted to compare these two is because of the microphones. So the ROG Delta S wireless packs two AI beamforming microphones, so it uses AI noise cancellation technology to block out a lot of background noise and to deliver some good audio, at least in theory, whereas the Logitech headset uses Blue Voice technology to allow you to customize your audio on the fly, and I'll show you what I mean a bit later on, but I also went into a lot more depth on this in the reviews, so be sure to check out those linked in the description. The other reason is, as you'll see if you put the two side by side, they have an interesting similarly setup in terms of things included in the box. For example, both of them come with a USB dongle. The ROG Delta S wireless has a USB-C dongle with a special adapter to turn it into USB-A if you need it, and the G Pro X wireless has a rather chunky USB-A 2.4 GHz dongle. Also, they both pack in extra pairs of ear cushions, so you'll see them here side by side, and you'll note the difference between them in terms of the shape and size. So it's worth noting immediately the ROG Delta S wireless has larger ear cups in my opinion, ever so slightly deeper, but certainly larger, and with that sort of ear-shaped design to them, and so they are potentially a nicer fit and more comfortable. The other interesting highlight here is you'll notice with these fabric cushions, there's also a faux leather on the inside. There is a tiny bit of that on the G Pro X, but it's more at the back than on the inside. And the reason for this is that that helps to block out a little bit of external noise while still having that comfort there. You'll see that the headsets also both come with a faux leather setup, so you have the choice of which ear cushions you use, and obviously the faux leather blocks out a bit more noise, so it gives you passive noise cancellation, whereas the material ones give you a bit more comfort and keep your ears a little cooler, so you have the choice of what you use. But if you put the two headsets side by side, it's obvious that the ROG Delta S wireless is potentially a lot more comfortable because of the setup and more ergonomic design of it. Now both headsets have controls on them for mic mute, volume control, and obviously turning them on and off. You'll notice that the ROG Delta S has a button to go between 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth, and that is one of the advantages that that headset has over the Logitech headset, and I'll talk more about that as we go through. But what you'll also see with these two headsets side by side is they're quite understated. They don't have RGB lighting, but they do have some nice accents and a generally satisfying design to them that make them worth comparing and showing the differences between them. Now, as I said already, the G Pro X wireless has a detachable microphone, so it's a boom style microphone, whereas the ROG Delta S wireless has those beamforming microphones. So slightly different options, but it does mean that both of them essentially have a hidden microphone option if you want to use them as headphones. You'll notice they both have very nice padding on the headband and on the ear cushions, and I think comfort is one of the main reasons they're actually comparing these two, because they're both remarkably comfortable headsets with a really nice fit. I found them really comfortable to wear and a really sensible and comfortable all-round design. One of the things you will see is the slight difference in terms of the flexibility of the headband and the way the ear cushions work. So for example, the ROG Delta S wireless, you can fold those ear cups in. However, I do think that the G Pro X feels a bit more sturdy in the hand. You'll notice when extending the headband that it just looks a bit sturdier and it feels a bit sturdier in the hand. However, it does look like the ROG Delta S also extends out a bit further and perhaps potentially has a better fit because of it. One of the nice things about the ROG Delta S is the weight of the thing. So it weighs in at just over 300 grams, which means it's really comfortable to wear all day long. And I've not had a problem with either of these in terms of comfort, but actually I would suggest that the ROG Delta S is perhaps the nicer of the two. Slightly more comfortable, slightly easier fit on the ears if you've got larger ears, and works for a little bit longer. However, the G Pro X wireless has been one of my recommendations for a long time if you're looking for one that's comfortable, especially with the velour style ear cushions, and I'll go into a bit more depth on that later on. Now, both headsets are wireless and both have a similar comparable battery life. The ROG Delta S packs in around 25 hours versus 20 hours on the Logitech, and they both have virtual surround sound offerings and stereo offerings as well, so you can switch between those, and that's a point of interest. And obviously an important point of the design is the tweakability of the sound. Now, I found when I got them out of the box that the ROG Delta S wireless, the default sound was quite hollow, and it required quite a bit of tweaking within the Armoury Crate software in order to get it sounding good. But some adjustments can make it fit your personal taste. It has virtual surround sound, and obviously this 2.4 GHz wireless gives you a good solid connection. Now, it's worth noting that I've been testing both these headsets on PC, and that's where they shine the best, because you can use the software to customize the sound and also adjust the microphone settings. I did think that the design of the dongle for the ROG Delta S wireless was a bit annoying though, because it has this sort of angled design to it, and if you're plugging it in on PC, I found, for example, as you can see here, that it blocks some parts of my machine. So using the front panel connections, it either blocks my reset button or the USB-A port next to it. So essentially that design is a little bit of an annoyance. It does, however, as you've seen, come with that adapter, so you can put that in, connect that up, and then plug it into a USB-A connection instead. They're resolving that issue. Minor point, what I think is worth noting. Now, 2.4 GHz connection on both of them, and I found the range is roughly comparable. Go away a few rooms and you'll get a warning that the headset's disconnecting, and I do find that you get that repeating in the ROG Delta S wireless, which is a bit annoying. So if you take your headset with you and want to do something, get a drink or whatever, you might find an annoying warning about that. One thing, however, where the ROG Delta S wireless does win is that it also has Bluetooth connectivity. So you can flick it over into Bluetooth mode and pair it up with your phone, and then you can listen to music. So obviously you have the advantage of potentially taking these out of the house or just around the house away from your gaming machine, and to be able to just listen to your favorite tunes. Because it has the beamforming microphones in it as well, that also means that you can take a call if you want to, so that has that advantage there. But it doesn't have dual connectivity, so you can't be connected 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth at the same time, which is a bit silly in my mind, and a minor complaint. One thing it does have though is the ability to control media playback directly from the headset itself, so you can see that you can obviously adjust the volume that affects both Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz with that, and you can push the volume wheel into mic mute, but you can also use the little button underneath there as a media playback button. So a single press will pause and play your music, a double press will skip the track that you're currently listening to, and a triple press will rewind. So you have simple controls there. Now, I did find there was a little bit of lag when using that, but it's still a nice function, and obviously a feature that the ROG Delta S wins over the Logitech headset. Now, the Logitech headset unfortunately doesn't have Bluetooth, and that's one big downside for this, and that is one of the things that I said in my initial review. If this headset had Bluetooth, it would have been a winner, it would have been fantastic. I still recommend it. I still think it's a great headset. As you can see, this is the standard setup that you get. As I said already, you get extra ear cushions in the box, you get a USB-C charging cable, USB-A dongle, detachable microphone, and the microphone setup is one of the selling points of the headset. It's one of the things they push because of Logitech's Blue Voice technology, which actually comes from Blue Microphones, a company that's owned by Logitech, and they use that to basically allow you to customize the sound, and I'll show you what I mean by that a bit later on, but you can find out more in the review as well. Like with the ROG Delta S, the G Pro X wireless has this USB DAC, which is essentially the 2.4 GHz, but also this is required to give you the DTS Headphone X surround sound functionality on PC, and you can get access to that via Logitech's G Hub, so that means that you've got both stereo sound and virtual surround sound with DTS Headphone X as well. Now, the microphone is quite flexible, as you can see here. And I don't think it's a terrible sounding microphone as default, and you'll hear a bit of this later on. I actually think out of the two, out of the box, the G Pro X has the better sounding mic, but you can obviously choose for yourself a bit later on. Now, they both have USB charging cables with a USB-C connection, and the interesting point in the ROG Delta S is it has fast charging capability, so you can plug it in for 15 minutes and get 3 hours of extra battery life. They both roughly have comparable battery life. Nothing that's going to blow your socks off, just around 20-hour mark, but I didn't find I had to plug them in and charge them up that often. Now, one of the things I really liked about the G Pro X wireless is these velour style ear cushions, so they have a much softer fit to them, a really soft material, and I've described them in the past as like having little puffs of heaven against your ears and the side of your head, and really comfortable material. Or you have the choice of these faux leather ones that block out external noise. I do think the ones on the ROG Delta S, because they're a little bit deeper and the headset potentially has a nicer fit, that they help to block out a bit more external noise, but they're both really nice. You will see that they are quite shallow though, is the only downside, but it's really easy to take them off and swap them out, so it's very nice to have that flexibility and the option. So it's really good to see both headsets including the option to change ear cushions without an additional purchase, because it's included as standard, so that's certainly a bonus of that setup. Clamping force is obviously also an important part of the design of the headset, and I think that the ROG Delta S wireless has a slightly looser fit, although as you can see you can turn the ear cushions a bit more and there's a bit more flexibility in there, but it doesn't grip to the head quite as tight, whereas the G Pro X clamps on a little bit tighter, and obviously whether that's nice for you or not is going to vary depending on your personal preference. I found the fit of them to be both enjoyable. However, if you like a tight fit, then the G Pro X is certainly the better one. However, I will also say that the ROG Delta S didn't feel like it was going to fly off my head at any point, so it has a nice balance on that. As you can see, the headbands are also nicely extendable on both, so I think they're going to be a good fit for most people, but if you feel like your head is on the larger side, you probably will want to go for the ROG Delta S, because it does extend a little bit nicer and generally seems like it's a better fit for larger heads overall. I also really like the way that the ear cups tilt and twist inwards, so you can just adjust them to position nicely over your head with ease, and that ensures to help with that passive noise cancellation as well, which is an important point of it. I mentioned earlier on that the G Pro X wireless doesn't have Bluetooth capabilities, which obviously means you get the chance to connect to less devices, essentially using a 2.4 GHz, or you're using it with a USB-C connection, and that limits the number of things you can connect to. There's no 3.5mm connection, and I also tested, and unfortunately you can't use a USB-C to USB-C cable to connect it to an Android phone, so you can't play music from your phone that way either, which is another oversight I think, and something that really misses out on this headset. If they ever do a second version, hopefully they'll include Bluetooth or at least another connection option. You can get the wired G Pro X, which does have a 3.5mm connection, which gives you a bit more flexibility, whereas obviously, as I said, you've got Bluetooth on the ROG Delta S. However, it's also worth noting that I also tested the USB dongle and USB-C to USB-C cable on this headset too, and you can't get sound that way either. So although you can use Bluetooth, you can't use the USB-C connectivity to connect up to other devices either, or at least not on a phone anyway, which is a shame if you were thinking about doing that. So both of them have sort of similar problems and similar highlights in that overall setup. However, both have great sound. I really think that the Logitech G Pro X has the better sound out of the box. Both are tweakable and customizable. Both have great positional audio with a 7.1 surround sound. I personally feel like the overall sound, if you're just on sound alone, the G Pro X wireless was my preference. I felt like I had to fiddle with the sound less to get it sounding good. The positional audio was great, had a nice rich bass and sound to it overall, and the ROG Delta S required a lot more tweaking in order to get it sounding nice. However, the ROG Delta S also blocks out a lot more external noise and has a lot of customization options in terms of the sound that I showed in the software. So be sure to check out the review and see all the different tweaks that you can do to it there. And now I'm going to do a microphone test to show you the difference between the two. Here I am with the G Pro X wireless on the head, and I'm using the microphone now for this voiceover so you can get an idea of the quality of that for a comparison with the ROG Delta S in a second. I also have G Hub open in the corner here so you can see the adjustments. Now this is the default sound for the microphone, obviously over wireless, and one thing that you will notice is quite a bit compressed compared to a dedicated boom microphone. But what you got here is the option to adjust
the sound. So you can see that there's a box here to enable blue voice. If I click on that, that will automatically apply different settings to my voice, and you can go through various different presets. So at the moment it's set to broadcast to 1, and as you change between them, it adjusts the voice EQ settings and changes your low, mid and high settings and other things in there. And you can see that you can go into advanced control, you can adjust the high pass filter, noise reduction, expander, gate de-esser, compressor and limiter. So you can play around with that to make you sound a bit nicer. And this is all applied on the fly. Now, this is something that you'd normally need to do sort of after with post-processing, or you'd need to spend more money on an external dedicated preamp system for an XLR microphone, for example, a Go XLR. Using that with a dedicated microphone, you'd need to use something like that in order to have this sort of level of control over the various sound settings and to be able to tweak it. But you can see you can go into loads of different presets here that are already set up, or you can tweak it on the fly. Now, one thing I've noticed that you can't hear your own voice in the headset, so there's no side tone as standard. But what you can do is you can record a clip and then you can apply these different presets until you find one that you like. But it is one of the selling points of the headset, although as you'll see it's quite nice sounding as standard with that turned off. Another thing that you can do is you can click here and go to NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA Broadcast is available to download through here and then to enable. NVIDIA Broadcast is a technology that you can use with RTX graphics cards from NVIDIA. Basically it has a technology there that uses AI to cancel out the noise, the background noise, and eliminate some of that. I've done a video separately showing it off on the Quadcast S, for example, so that there isn't dedicated dust to this headset. You can use it for a variety of different headsets and microphone setups and basically apply AI noise cancellation to block out fan noise and background noise, noisy keyboards and things like that. And it's quite intelligent, but it does require some processing power. But you have these options in here to be able to apply those settings, and it's certainly one of the selling points of this headset, whereas the ROG Delta S is slightly different, as I'll show you now.
So now I'm here with the ROG Delta S wireless on the head instead, and I also have Armoury Crate open over here, and you'll notice that there are 3 main settings for the microphone that I'm going to demonstrate in a second. But essentially this headset uses 2 microphones that have beamforming technology, so they're designed to pick up your voice without obviously the need for that boom mic, so it's a bit more subtle in that design. But as you'll hear, the quality isn't as good as default. The one selling point that they have here, instead of having the on-the-fly adjustment that you have with the Logitech headset, is you now have these noise gate, perfect voice and AI noise cancellation. So the AI noise cancellation is one of the main things that they show off and want to make the selling point. If you turn this on, that eliminates some of that background noise. Now in the review I showed that it blocked out the noise of your keyboard, but it also works if you've got a giant fan like I have here. So you can see this big fan. Now I actually had this set up blowing on me, so if I actually just turn it on now, what I found is at maximum setting. So if I just put it in front of me, you'll probably hear it. It's blowing on my face, but if I put it off to the side, you can't really hear it now. And that's actually on maximum speed, so it's giving me a nice refreshing chill, but it isn't being picked up that much by the microphone because it's eliminating it with that AI, which is pretty clever and intelligent, but obviously it does have a knock-on effect. And you can also adjust this so you can increase the amount that it's on. So now it's on its highest setting, and obviously will have the best quality in terms of how much it's eliminating that background noise, but also degrades the overall quality of the microphone, in my opinion. You can also obviously turn on these other settings, so you'll notice that there is a noise gate as standard, so you can turn that on and adjust that. Now if you crank all these things up to their maximum, it ends up making the microphone sound really muddied and certainly not very good quality, in my opinion. You probably want to play around with these things and work out what works best for you. I actually think minimizing them probably does a better job, and it's certainly not as nice as the mic on the Blue Voice, but that's personal preference. Again, I think really with both of these headsets, you probably want to invest in a dedicated standalone microphone for the best possible action out of it. But while I'm here, I also want to quickly show you the various sound settings for the ROG Delta S wireless, you can see that you have various different sound optimization settings. You can choose from all sorts of different profiles in there. And you've got virtual surround sound settings, bass boost, compressor, voice clarity. Then you can add in reverb options into it as well. So you can turn that on and go into all these reverb settings. Then you've got an equalizer. There's a lot of different settings in there. And that's both a good thing and a bad thing, because I felt like you had to play around with a lot more in order to get it sounding good. So lots to go off. Hopefully this has been a useful insight into what each headset's like and the benefits of each. My personal preference is the G Pro X wireless. However, I certainly do like the comfort of this one, and it is a nice looking headset, and it also is capable in a number of different ways, and having Bluetooth and wireless is obviously a bonus. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching.
This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.